Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to another bonus episode, I guess. It's not a post-game episode because we're on All-Star break still, but another episode of the Missing Wolves post-game live stream podcast thing. I'm your host, Andrew Dukowitz from Zone Coverage. And today we got a mentor, a friend, someone who is on his third podcast of the day, believe it or not. Chris Hine from the StarTribune, author of the book Ants. How's it going, man?
I'm good, Andrew. Yeah. And I'm under the weather too. So the vocal cords are really being tested today, but happy to be here with you as always.
It's a good thing. Hopefully tomorrow you just have to write, right? There's not a bunch of appearances.
No, but we got to ask questions and we got to talk to people and stuff like that. So there is that aspect of the job still, but shaping up to be maybe an uneventful night with Cooper Flag out, but we'll see.
I mean, there's a lot of kind of talk about tanking. I don't really need to get into the whole tanking thing because I don't have a solution for it. But woof, that Mavs roster is kind of the perfect example of it for tomorrow, isn't it? Pretty much everyone is out with an injury.
Exactly. And I think I was kind of hoping to see Cooper Flag play, but I get it. You definitely want to be careful with a rookie and injuries and all that stuff. But they have one more matchup against Dallas later in the season. We'll see if he plays then. But I would love, he missed the last game too, but I would just love to see him play against the Wolves and see how this version of Cooper Flag, which is different from the one they saw way back at the start of the season, how he would match up against the Wolves. I think it'd be fun to watch.
I'm there with you. Like I was less like fascinated of the matchup, but I did want to see Cooper Flag and just see how he's able to kind of, especially with like Jason Kidd, I feel like tries to do this with every player that he coaches, but like kind of making him the lead ball handler in a lot of situations. Like, I think that would have just been fun, if anything, just to see, Julius or Jaden have to deal with Flag going downhill. But here we are. Mm-hmm. Tanking's a thing. And like you said, it does sound like he was still in the boot until recently. It probably is more injury related, but I hear Chris Middleton isn't playing either.
Yeah, well, who knows what I haven't really followed what's going on with him exactly, but we'll see. So this, coming out of the All-Star break, the Wolves should have an easy win, seemingly, but with this team, we never know.
These are the ones, right?
These are the ones. That's right.
Well, I did kind of want to start off just because you and I both do practice scrums, and Kevin Durant, a reporter, asked him in a practice scrum about his burner. That went over about as well as you'd think it would. But, I do think burners are like a fascinating kind of subject, especially like in the sports world. And I'm kind of wondering, like, you've been on the beat longer than I have. Who would be the best burner Wolves media guy?
So, like somebody who has a burner Twitter to respond to us and stuff like that, right?
If it came out that John had a burner, would that be the funniest?
Oh, right.
Or would it be like a?
I mean, listen, Jace fires off. Jace doesn't hide a lot of his opinions and takes on his Twitter, so. But maybe he could get really spicy if he has one away from the journalistic, standards with which we all have to tweet. Maybe he could, really throw out some hot takes on the burner Twitter. So I'm going to go with Jace.
I think mine has changed over the season. I would have gone with Jace with you at the beginning of the season, but then John had that little kind of spat with some Twitter user where he said the trade fairy isn't going to be there for you tomorrow morning. And I was like, oh, John might secretly have a little bit of a streak to him that would come out in a burner. So I think mine would be John. Let's talk about Wolves. Who on the Wolves would you be most shocked if they came out with a burner?
Most shocked, I guess I would probably say Jaden.
Yeah.
I would be shocked if Jaden was just on a burner Twitter account, like just firing off a lot of different opinions. Like that would be pretty stunning to me. just based on how we've
It
gotten to
has
know
to
him over
be
the last
Jaden,
6
right?
years. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
It's hard to say who. A lot of guys say they're not on social media. The guys are on social media. They are. They see it. They go through their phones after every game. They're on Twitter. They're on Instagram. They're on TikTok. They're on whatever. You just don't know exactly maybe what their accounts are. It's not always from their official accounts. But it's not to say that they're posting, but they are on. Most of them are on social media in some capacity. It's just they know better than to fire up burner accounts and start tweeting stuff that might get traced back to them. So I think most of them know well enough to not do that sort of stuff.
Completely agree. That being said, if Rudy came out with a burner, I think that would be the least shocking. If Rudy's just like Stifle Tower 69 and just clapping back on all of the Rudy disses. I wouldn't be surprised about that one at all.
Yeah, but again, though, I think at this point in their lives and career, especially him, I think he knows a little better than to do some of that stuff. And if there was such an account with the amount of vitriol that he faces on social media, year over year, it would have happened by now. I feel like it would have happened. Yeah.
I mean, people would have figured that out immediately. Like
Correct.
As soon as they figure out that just one account is defending Rudy a lot, I think they would have thrown that grenade out immediately.
Correct.
Transitioning over to the Wolves, kind of what we're doing this podcast of just like a second half primer. We kind of have to talk about the whole Anthony Edwards Atlanta thing. I know you had told me, thankfully Dane didn't bring it up with you, so you're not like on your third round of talking about this today. But I mean, Ant after the All-Star game gets caught on a hot mic. I have the quote here. He just tells Jalen Johnson, "I can't wait to come home. Y'all got so many wings." And I think Twitter has taken that and kind of run with it, where Hawks Twitterverse is tweeting a lot of like, it's only a matter of time before Ant is back in Atlanta. Wolves Twitter, I think there's the clear, older generation that is used to David Ortiz getting let go, and then Kevin Garnett moving on, and then Kevin Love moving on, and all of those kind of spurned fans that are like, yep, just a matter of time. Like, I guess we'll just kind of adapt to that heartbreak now. And then there's a lot of Wolves fans that are like vehement, like, no, this dude's never leaving. I mean, just as broadly as I can ask, like, what's your opinion on it? What were your kind of thoughts on it when you kind of saw this stuff start to come out?
I just go back to what I learned and was told throughout the book reporting process about Ant and his relationship with being in Atlanta, which is that Atlanta is a place where people want to try to dig their claws into him, whether it's through asking for money, whether it's, asking for this or that. Like it's a place where if people know he's in town, they're going to want to try to get at him or people close to him or whatever for various reasons. Mm-hmm. So over the years, Atlanta has not really been a place that Ant hangs out a ton as his career has gone on. He tends to spend his off-season time. He's played a lot internationally over the last couple of years as well, but he tends to spend a lot of his off-season time either in Minnesota or in Miami. So Atlanta, I remember going there and I interviewed somebody. Asked him, I said I was hanging out here in Atlanta, and that's when I was first clued in. And he was like, nah. He's like, Ant doesn't really come around to Atlanta too much anymore. It's like, it's not, really not the best, it's not where he really just wants to spend a ton of time or does. So that's what I was told by a lot of different people about that. Not to say he doesn't love Atlanta, and obviously he's got family there. He's got friends there, and he looks forward to it when it pops up on the schedule and all those things. But I think to spend an extended amount of time there at this point in his career, I don't know that that's necessarily what he would be looking for. That's not to say, listen, things can't change over time. As his career advances, whatever, who the hell knows, 5 to 10 years where anybody or anything is. But I'm just going off of what I was told in the reporting of the book. And so I tend to throw a little water on the fact that Anthony Edwards is going to be suddenly maneuvering himself to go to Atlanta to play for the Hawks anytime soon.
I mean, that's the other side of it, is like, put the money side aspect aside, where like if he were to force his way out in this contract, like the amount of money he would miss out on from like the bird rights, supermax, all of that stuff.
Sure.
He's never been a guy, at least the 2 years I've had credentials, where he's like, I don't know, it just doesn't seem like he's super interested in like manipulating the media to get his way. I almost think of it more as like Ant's just being Ant. Like he kind of just says whatever's on his mind at any given time, don't you?
Yeah, I do. And again, it's the All-Star break. Maybe he just meant he's looking forward to coming home or just going home or whatever, like to rest. Yeah. We haven't had a chance to talk to him yet about it, and see what he may have meant by that. But again, I just wouldn't put much stock into it. I think it's fans reading into stuff a little too much.
It's kind of where I'm at too. Like could I see him spending some time in the later part of his career there? Like
for sure. Wouldn't rule that out. Definitely wouldn't rule that out.
If the Sonics come back, I would also say Jaden might spend more of like the latter part of his career in Seattle. Like guys like to go and play for their home city. Like Dwayne Wade's kind of the perfect example of plays in Chicago for like 6 months, and then like you just want to hear that like PA announcer,
Absolutely.
I do want to stay with you on the book a little bit, because if I understand right, you're doing a book signing this weekend, right?
Yeah, 2 p.m. Saturday at the Barnes and Noble in Uptown. We'll be there, so that'll be fun. Come on out. Chat, if you got a copy, bring a copy already. They want you to buy other copies, but we won't tell them if you bring, another copy or two. And just come say hello and chat it up and talk Wolves, talk Ant, whatever you want to talk about, whatever's on your mind, just say hello, come on by. Be there starting at 2:00 on Saturday, and be there probably for a couple hours, 4:00, 4:30, kind of open-ended as to when I might take off, but that's generally what the event was the last time I was there. So about 2 hours or so, 2 to 4. Yeah.
And the book, I mean, I have it. It's over there somewhere on the backdrop. Like amazing book. And I did like, I do have to like fan out a little bit here, because my wife and I listened to the book going up, audio version, like as we were driving our car to our family cabin pretty much all summer. And like one thing that always like strikes me with Ant is he has had to deal with kind of so much tragedy in his life, and he doesn't really talk about it. So how you were able to, through I think it's Miss Good, the lady that he was with in high school, and college coaches, and kind of all of the ancillary pieces of his life, to be able to like kind of bring that pain without him ever really giving detailed quotes on it. Like, how difficult was that?
It was hard, and I don't, blame him for wanting to talk about it at all, obviously. And I pieced some quotes that he had that I have asked him about before, and that were in the Netflix doc and stuff like that. So I used some of that. But you got to remember, at the time too, Ant was 13 years old when that stuff happened. And, there were adults in his life that are still very present in his life who were there and really witnessed everything up close, witnessed how Ant reacted to it all at that young age, right? Ant may not, think about if you're 13 years old and that stuff happens to you, you may not even remember your own emotions, right? And just trying to process and channeling that and what that was like. You're so young. So I think asking people around him what Ant was like during that time, 13 and 14, 15 and the years after, I think it was just as helpful because they had a firsthand perspective of how a young Anthony Edwards moved on and tried to channel the grief. And the main way they said was that was when the work ethic really kicked in for him, and getting into the gym, and so I think seeing their perspective of things was really valuable for reporting that aspect of his life.
Again, I mean, you did such a good job. I mean, that's probably, like, as someone that covers the team and doesn't really, like, obviously, like, none of us really know Ant. Like, he has a life outside of basketball and we just get snippets of the basketball portion. But, like, seeing how someone navigates through, I mean, that much at such a young age, whether it's his mom, his grandma, you did such a wonderful job, like, putting
I appreciate
that out
that.
there. So
that's
my brown nosing for the day. We'll call it that. But, like, genuinely, the book is awesome. Go get it if you haven't. And I mean, flash forward, now he's the All-Star game MVP. I guess I'll just pose you the question that's kind of on social media. Did Ant and Wemby kind of fix it?
Maybe. I mean, just adding a little bit of competitive edge to it, right? I think that's what it took. I just hearing the comments even from Ant leading up to it, I was like, oh, this might just fall flat on its face. That's not to say it was like, it wasn't, but it was definitely more competitive than we've seen an All-Star game be in recent memory. And yeah, maybe it was just Wemby. Maybe team, Ant's team was just like, oh, we're not going to let this try hard, just go out here and start blocking shots left and right. It's like, no, we're gonna kick his butt. So credit to Wemby, and then credit to Ant and was the team Stars? Was that their team? Were they Stars or were they Stripes? Yeah,
they're Stars. And the old guys were Stripes.
And credit to Team Stars for responding to the challenge and just not taking it like a walk in the park. So that was nice to see that they had a level of competitiveness, and when those games got down into the final minutes, like you could feel the intensity building for sure.
It is kind of wild that, like, even at that level, I mean, when you go to like Lifetime and play basketball, if there's a try hard on the other team, like, everybody kind of elevates a little bit. Even at like the NBA level in an exhibition game, all it kind of took was Wemby saying, like, I'm going to embarrass people if you're not trying. And then it turns into it, like you said, it wasn't like a regular season intensity, but like you could tell people actually cared, which I don't know, is refreshing, especially.
Yeah, when you're blitzing pick and rolls and you're doing stuff like that. I mean, it was pretty clear that if guys got on a fast break, nobody was chasing them down, right? Like those were like, all right, 2 points. But if you got into the half court, they were playing a little defense. They were playing a little, especially late, obviously. They were playing a little defense. It was nice to see, actually.
I mean, from a Minnesota like media standpoint too, when we're talking about a team and the kind of effort, energy levels all the time, it was nice to see Ant especially have more energy than he was alluding he would play with. I mean, do you think that's something that he's gonna kind of carry out through the rest of the season now, or do you kind of feel like second half of the season is going to be pretty similar to the first half with Ant's kind of up and down?
Good question. Hard to get a read because I feel like it never really clicked in last year, and even when we got to the playoffs, it was there some nights and wasn't always there. That was in the postseason too. So I don't know. It's tough, and we know how much that can elevate this team when he can turn into such a force on both ends of the floor. But yeah, it requires a lot. It I know we like to, Finch even says it too, that he doesn't buy into, that you spend energy on one end of the floor and you can on the other, but it does matter. It totally does. You just got to kind of dig deep at this moment in the season and give your team what it needs. Focus solely on rest and recovery when you have days off. The Wolves don't have a lot of back-to-backs down the stretch here. The schedule, while it's tough from a quality of opponent standpoint, it is probably their easiest stretch of the schedule when it comes to the logistics of traveling and back-to-backs and things like that. So there are moments to rest and recover during the last 26 games here. So I don't know how much fatigue, I don't know how much that's going to come into play. It shouldn't. And they haven't given themselves the ability to use that as an excuse, because they have kind of fumbled around for stretches during the first 2/3 of the season here. But as it relates to Ant specifically, I just don't know. I'd like to say so and think so, but as he's admitted, it's hard. It's hard for him. So we'll see.
It's one of those things where it's, I mean, I remember you last year before I had locker room access. I remember you guys kind of always talking about like, oh, Ant just kind of always falls on the sword, says the right things. He kind of gets it, but he doesn't really get it at the same time. And some of these moments where he comes in after a game and, whether it's a positive and he plays awesome defense. And I think it was Dane a couple weeks ago was like, you realize like when you're playing like this, it carries forward to everyone. Right. And he's like, oh yeah. Or kind of the opposite side where after some of these losses, he's like, yeah, I just need to hit more shots. Like it does seem like there's just a little bit more like development to go before he's that locked in guy every night. Wouldn't you think?
Yeah. I think I was thinking about this the other day too, and just ESPN had The Last Dance rerunning, like, and I was just I got kind of caught up and watching 3 or 4 episodes of it, and it just got me thinking about like the arc of Michael Jordan's career and the arc of some of the other stars that have won a lot of titles, LeBron, Steph, and just kind of having what it really takes to excel at the highest level, to become an MVP type player, to turn yourself into the engine of a championship team. It takes more than you realize as a player coming into the league and even through your first couple of years. And I wonder if in 3-4 years we're going to look back on this couple of years, his 23-year-old and 24-year-old seasons, as being like the moment when it really started to sink in what he had to do or how he had to elevate on a night-to-night basis to become an MVP player, not just second team all NBA or something like that, but to become in the conversation for MVP, to elevate your team to that level that you can carry them to a finals appearance or a finals win. So I wonder if that is what Ant is. He learns from many repetitions, right? He can't just fail at something. He can't just fail at something once and learn a lesson from it, right? You got to keep banging your head against the wall for a long time before the lesson finally gets through. So I wonder if that's where he's at, because let's take his experience with double teams for instance, right? It took him years to, a good 2+ seasons of seeing and dealing with double teams before, I think, late last season and then into this one, finally getting to a place where he's really comfortable dealing with double teams and no longer is frustrated by them, knows how to attack them, knows what to do, what reads to make, and he knows that if he has to get off of the ball early in a possession, it doesn't mean that he's not going to get the ball back later in the possession. So, but that took a long time for him to learn. It took a long time Clutch shooting, another, clutch situations. Again, 2+ years of making mistakes, of playing hero ball, of doing all these things that you look and say, Ant, stop playing hero ball, but he keeps playing hero ball for another half a season, right? It just takes a long time for it to soak through, right? And so he has made those adjustments in clutch situations. He has made those adjustments in reading double teams. So now, is this the next step? Is the consistent effort turning into a two-way monster? Is this that next thing that is finally going to have to take some time to get through, but may eventually get through? And I think if you're a Wolves fan, that's the glass half full view of this, is like, well, this season might be the season he has to go through to finally realize how much of an impact his energy and effort has on the defensive end of the floor for the team as a whole. But he may have to get through the whole season before he really realizes that.
I mean, it might be them being a 6 seed again and getting knocked out in the first round by Denver too. Right. I mean, I do, and we'll transition more into like Wolves as a whole, but like it does seem like they are kind of just ready for the playoffs to start, and it kind of felt that way like in November, that they were just ready for the playoffs to start. And like, you're right. It might just be one of those things where it's like you just got to get kicked out of the first round before you're kind of lock in of like, oh yeah, it sucks having to play Denver in the first round. But Chris, I'm going to throw us over to a quick ad read. When we come back, I do want to ask you a couple more fun questions just about the team before you get out of here.
Yep.
Well, hello. Thank you, Livestream Andrew. This is Ad Read Andrew. And today we have Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, the presenting sponsor for the Missing Links podcast. Firehawk Construction and Remodeling strives to inspire people to follow their ideas, working with respect and understanding to create a quality, tailored result. Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, located in Blaine and serving in the North Metro area, is here to help you with your building and remodeling needs. I can say personally, thanks to Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, I have a beautiful deck in my backyard and countless projects that I started, they finished. Get started on your new deck or remodel today by calling Isaac at 763-710-5686. And we're back with another ad read. This time for Pence Homes, the presenting sponsor of Hitting the Hardwood Network. From the best tools and technology to transparency throughout the entire process, Nate Pence and the Pence Homes team is the top choice for buyers, sellers, and is proud to support you and your home ownership goals. Get started today by calling 612-308-1122 or by emailing info@pencehomes.com. Shout out to Pence Homes. Also, a little bit of housekeeping. They are still collecting donations, whether that's money, food, boxed goods, non-perishables, things like that, to deliver to people in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis area, as there still is some stuff going on in the city. So if you do want to reach out or help that cause, even if it's just delivering groceries, info@Pence Homes is a great way to start. You can also reach out to them on Instagram, X, or Blue Sky. They do respond to DMs. So shout out to Nate for doing the work that matters. Chris, work that also matters is me asking you, who in the first half of the season, and I realize like half of the season's kind of weird when we're like 2/3 through, but like pre-All-Star break, who surprised you the most on the Wolves? And I kind of gave you the question of like, not who was the best, not who was the worst, but like, who is like the guy that just kind of shocked you the most of what their season looked like?
I think Jaden. I would go with Jaden. I think kind of finding the room to take this leap offensively that he has this year, the 3-point shooting being excellent, and really just more consistently finding the room to get his usage with him, playing with Ant and Julius, to me was the surprising development of the first 2/3 of the season, or one of the surprising developments. So I would say him, and just kind of seeing the Jaden McDaniels that I think they knew and we all kind of knew was in there this season than other seasons.
Also been just like A+ in scrums and interviews this year. Like, entertaining, he's charismatic.
It's Jaden's best season all around. Yeah,
I know. I think I agree with you on Jaden. I kind of picked two because I wanted to cheat in case you took one of mine, which you did.
Sure.
Like on a positive side, Jaden is the most kind of surprising because 45% from three is wild for that guy.
Yeah.
The other one is just Mike. I didn't have like necessarily expectations that he was going to be able to come in and be a starting point guard, like big time contributor. I kind of figured he'd drop off a little bit, but like the shot just going non-existent it's tough, right? Like I think point guards, this is just how it goes. Like Steve Nash in LA, Kidd in New York, Darren Williams in Dallas. Like this is just, when it's done, it's done. But I was just really am still kind of surprised that it was the shot that kind of failed Mike. What have your thoughts been on Mike so far? And now that he's back, I mean, I should say beanie and a little bit bigger beard seems to suit him well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're right. I thought coming into this year that we'd see maybe one last really good Mike, year. And I'm still holding out hope that, this extended PTO time that he was on the last couple of weeks maybe did him some good, rejuvenated him. I still think that there's going to be a moment where that Mike is going to, like, oh yeah, Mike Conley. Everybody's gonna be like, oh yeah, Mike Conley, there he is. I still think they're a really good moment, whether it's to help win a game, that they need, or maybe even in the postseason he does something. I still think that's in there. That's potentially something that can happen with him. It's just on a regular basis. I don't know how much you can really expect that version of Mike. Yeah, I think the shot, because the shot was so good the last couple of years, but I don't know if it's the rhythm. I don't know if it's the timing. If it's, I don't know what may be affecting that. But you would think, even if you're just wide open there, getting the ball from Ant, who draws all the coverage, knock down an open shot or two. But yeah, it's been tough. So again, maybe the time away is a blessing in disguise, but we'll see down the stretch run here. And he seemed, we should note, he seemed very accepting of a reduced role. I think the social media crowd, Wolves Twitter, everybody is like, well, he better not take Bones' minutes, or he better not take Io's minutes. I would not necessarily worry too much, especially about Io's minutes. I think Io's got to play 25 to 30 moving forward. Give a guarantee basically with how he's looked. Bones, maybe that's a different conversation, but I think he acknowledged, and I think the team acknowledges, that Bones needs to be that guy right now ahead of Mike.
And to your point of like, he'll have a moment, like Mike still is really the only like point guard brain guy on this team. Like I can't remember what game it was, but there's one game where, end of the third quarter, start of the fourth, they check Mike in with Jaden and Nas, and he just gets Jaden like 4 consecutive possessions because Jaden hadn't touched the ball in like an hour and a half of real time. And like no one else really gets that side of like the flow of the offense of like, hey, Jaden and Rudy haven't like touched the ball on offense. Like we got to just give it to them. Like, I think there'll be some moments where Finch is just like, it's getting way too sticky. Get in there, Mike. Just move the ball for 3 minutes, and
that's exactly it. Yeah, I think that could be the role. We'll see defensively. I think it's going to be matchup based too. Like, does the other team have small guards that he can tangle with? Right. It all depends on, I think, matchups too, but his role may be on a given night where I don't think if they're playing Oklahoma City, for instance, is that a night where Mike is playing a lot? I tend not to think so, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm there with you. Couple minutes before we go here, Johnny Juzang gets let go yesterday, I believe, yesterday evening. Maybe it was this morning. All of my time is bleeding together, but
Sure.
now there is a open roster spot and an open two-way. Any kind of expectations you have for like if they will even fill the open spots, if they snipe another two-way guy after the buyout market? Just kind of where's your thoughts on where this roster ends up?
Yeah. I think we'll see how the buyout market plays out related to that 15th roster spot. There's not much harm in adding another two-way guy. It's kind of free money, I would think. So we'll see who they may have in mind for that slot. But I think with the 15th roster spot, we'll see how the buyout market plays out. I don't have any inclination right now as to who that may be, or if anybody's interested, not interested, what have you. I think we just have to see how the next couple of weeks play out here.
Yeah, it's been a weird all-star break. I feel like normally there's at least some movement on who's getting bought out or like what could be happening, but it's really been kind of nothing. Like, even the teams that are, projected to not finish very strong, that have the Kevin Loves or the Kyle Andersons of the world, like it just kind of seems like nothing's moving.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing has really moved. You're right.
Just to close here, I hate asking this question because like it's so hard to tell with this team of where, as my second computer just decides to sound like an aircraft carrier in the background here. It's so hard to tell with this team just like where they're going to be on any given night. But if you had to guess, like where do you kind of think the Wolves are going to finish up the regular season? Do you think it's likely they stay in that 6 seed range? Do they climb up to a home court advantage? Just again, we've watched a lot of this team, so I know how unfair the question is. But what's your kind of vibe?
I think they end up in the 4-5 range. I don't think they get all the way up to 3. I could be wrong, but I think they can pass one or both of Houston and LA the rest of the season here and get into that mix. And so what that means is, obviously Oklahoma City's the 1 seed, but they're only 3 up on San Antonio right now. So it'll be interesting to see if the Spurs can actually make a run at the 1 seed, as Oklahoma City is still dealing with some injuries coming out of the All-Star break here. So, I think the conventional wisdom was get to the 3 seed, avoid OKC in round 2, get the Spurs potentially in round 2 if you win round 1. But maybe that flips if the Spurs can catch the Thunder here, and you might want to catch the Spurs as the 1 seed as the 4-5 matchup. I don't know. There's a lot of basketball to go. But I think the Wolves have it in them to be the 3 seed, obviously, but it's a matter of putting it all together. But I think that they can pass one or both of LA and Houston. So if you had to make me pick a number, I'd say 5. Sure. 5 would be the seed I would pick for them to finish at.
I think that's fair. I'm with you. I don't think they get to 1, 2, or 3. Like I think there's a world where Denver and Oklahoma City kind of prioritize health, like going into the playoffs, where Denver's like Aaron Gordon's been banged up. Murray, we know we need him. Like, let's just make sure we're full strength, and maybe they, the gap between 2 and 3 extends a little. I don't see the Wolves making up that much ground though. Like they'd have to. They'd have to go like 20-6 to try and make up that much ground, even if they are trying to rest guys. So I'm in the same boat as you. Like they probably pass one of Houston and LA. If something weird happens, they pass both. But 4 or 5 is, that's it's a tough Western Conference this year,
It
right?
is.
Like
It is.
that's what we've
That's
been saying all year.
And here's the thing, as the stretch run goes, you're going to see teams that are out of it or don't really care about their play-in status start to really rest people. Tanking, all that stuff comes into play. And I think the only movement that you're going to see in the Western Conference on some nights is when these teams play each other. It's like if the Rockets play the Lakers, but like on nights when they might be playing other teams outside of the playoff races, you expect to see a lot of wins piling up for a lot of these opponents too. So, and the Wolves don't have a ton of those games on their schedule the rest of the way.
Which might be a good thing.
It might weirdly be a good thing, right? That's exactly
the more
the point.
Prime time they get,
correct.
The better.
The better the opponent. And I think there's going to be some stretches where the schedule is going to be like they're looking up and it's okay. We got Detroit tonight. Oh, we got Philly. Okay, like another good team. Like there's going to be nights like that where a whole week of games is going to be against teams that are playoff teams. So it's going to be like that more often than not, I think.
Just such a weird team because I think even from the fans to the players in the locker room kind of are like, oh yeah, this is a team where we don't have to worry about anything. It's Detroit tonight, which just such a weird team. Chris, thanks for coming on, man. I know we plugged your signing, but please plug it again if you'd like to. Sure. Anything else that you have coming on? The floor is yours, sir. 2
p.m. Saturday at the Uptown Barnes and Noble. Just keep following along, reading the stuff. Newsletter is free every week. You don't have to subscribe to the Star-Tribune to get the newsletter. So recommend going through there to sign up for that. I always try to tweet out a link before it hits every week. But you can sign up for it on the website as well. So free Wolves content to your inbox every Tuesday.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. For anyone who joined into this late, I did get a flashing little alert saying that Twitter's live stream system is down. So if you joined into this late, it will be published as a podcast tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. It also goes up on YouTube and X as a full stream to live on forever. We will be back after the Dallas game. Gabe from Running with the Timberwolves podcast is joining me for the post game on that. And here's the good second half of the season. No injuries and a lot of fun, right?
That's right.